hear the word hypnosis, what do you think of? You may think of a swinging pocket watch or a diabolical villain getting victims to do his bidding, or even just someone doing crazy and funny stuff for the entertainment of others. But what actually is hypnosis? How did it start? And what has it evolved into today? Today, I will be informing you about all of these things, as well as how hypnosis has evolved from a parlor trick to a medical phenomenon. Since the beginning of hypnosis, more has been discovered about it, and its elements and functions have been explained. But what really is hypnosis? Well, according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, hypnosis is a quote-unquote trance-like state that resembles sleep, but is induced by a person whose suggestions are readily accepted by the subject. With this in mind, it's hard to imagine how this would have started, and who would have developed this. Well, despite popular opinion that Etienne Felix de Hennen de Colivers first coined this term in the 19th century, it was actually a German physician named Franz Mesmer who developed the original concept of the hypnotic trance. As Cohut explains in her article on Medical News Today, the concept of the hypnotic trance was born earlier, in the 18th century, with the notorious German physician Franz Mesmer. Mesmer claimed that he could showcase the existence of something he called animal magnetism, which is an invisible fluid that flows between people, animals, plants, and things, and which can be manipulated to influence people's behavior. Despite Mesmer giving hypnotism a bad reputation at the start for making it seem like a sham practice, people eventually grew interested in it and developed it more, leading to the development of the two elements of hypnosis, induction and suggestions. As Cohut explains in her article, hypnosis involves two main elements: induction and suggestions. Hypnotic induction is the first suggestion delivered during the process of hypnosis. Suggestions are typically expressed as implications that elicit seemingly involuntary responses from the participants. With these elements in mind and how they lead up to one another and lead to the process of hypnosis, people will wonder how this actually affects the brain, and this would lead to studies being conducted about how it affects the brain. Eventually, people found out that it affects just how people perceive things, and it has many different ways of doing this. For example, as Cohut explains in her article, for instance, suggestion has been used to induce agnosia, which is a state wherein the brain can perceive but is unable to recognize various external stimuli. Other experiments have employed suggestions to manipulate visual spatial processing, which is the ability of the brain to identify objects in space and to recognize shapes. With these processes in mind, people began wondering what hypnosis can actually do, how they can use hypnosis to benefit people. And this would lead to hypnosis' popularity in the medical field. One way that it's used today is to alleviate pain and discomfort. For example, this was discovered in a 2007 Journal of the National Cancer Institute, where it says the patients who received hypnosis had less post-surgical pain, nausea, fatigue, and discomfort. The study also found that the hospital saved $772 per patient in the hypnosis group due to reduced surgical time. Another thing that this article pointed out was that they had to use less sedatives during surgery, which shows that hypnosis was used to alleviate their pain, and it was fairly successful in doing so. 2 years later, another study was conducted to show if hypnosis could reduce fatigue or stress. And they found that, in fact, it can. In a 2009 article in Health Psychology, Montgomery and colleagues reported that, on another study, that a combination of hypnosis and cognitive behavioral therapy could reduce fatigue for breast cancer patients undergoing radiation therapy. Although this seems just to be adding on to the study before, it shows that hypnosis is branching out, that people are finding different uses for hypnosis as the years go by and as knowledge of hypnosis increases. Now, with addiction being on the rise in America, people began wondering, can hypnosis help with addiction? And they found that hypnosis is actually a good tool for smoking cessation. For example, as Solomon explains on everydayhealth.com, at the 2011 annual meeting at the American Psychiatric Association, Jose Maldonado, who has a doctorate and is associate professor of psychiatry at Stanford University, reported that the success rate of hypnosis for smoking cessation may be as high as 64%. Therefore, as hypnosis is being used in the medical field and as there are more uses being found for hypnosis, there are more success rates being shown. And it's showing that hypnosis can be used in a variety of circumstances, and that has led to its evolution. Because how we perceive things often correlates to how we feel or what we do, hypnosis is a very valuable tool. And as hypnosis is becoming more and more successful in various circumstances due to being able to alter our perceptions, it makes people think about how powerful the human mind actually is. With that thought in mind, I will leave you with a quote by Emile Coupe. "The power of thought, of idea, is incommensurable, is immeasurable. The world is dominated by thought."